Welcome back.
Welcome back to another episode of the Military Retirement Podcast. It's good to be back with you here, John.
Yeah, it's good to be back, man. Like you said before we started recording, and we probably say that pretty much every time before we start recording. Like, woke up another day and glad to be here. Glad to
Dude,
be
man,
here.
every morning is a new breath, and I do this thing where I wake up in the morning, I open the front door, and I just kind of breathe in that air.
Hmm.
I'm not trying to get on my hippie pedestal, but it literally is what I do. I did it this morning, whether it's the backyard or the front, and sometimes I'll go outside and step on some grass too, and just kind of touch ground a little bit. But it is good to wake up another morning, man, and to know that we can do this podcast and make an influence and put some good information out there for fellow veterans.
Yeah, that's right. And if you're out there in the audience, if you're listening in, if you're watching, if you're one of the 42 subscribers to the channel, and you've got questions, you've got anything pressing on your mind, anything that we can try to answer for you, we do a lot of the question and answer stuff in the Facebook group as well. We have good discussions in there. We definitely interview folks who have retired or close to retirement or like right on the cusp within that first year or so. So we do talk about that stuff with other veterans as well. So we just get some other perspectives, not just our perspective. But if you do have any questions or anything, feel free to drop them in the comments below. If you're watching this on LinkedIn, if you're watching it on Facebook, if you're on YouTube, just drop the comments in there. We'll get them, and then we'll try to answer them live here on the show. And if we don't answer them live, then we can always go back and check the comments later and hit them up later. But feel free to hit us up on there if you've got anything pressing, anything going on. If you're in the first and the last stretch of your military career, getting ready to hit retirement, or if you've already hit retirement and you've crossed that threshold and you've been out for a few months and there's some stuff on your mind or some stuff you want to talk about, just drop us a comment, let us know.
Yeah, absolutely. And in the last week, we put out a couple posts on the military retirement group. For one, it was the publishing and the launching of the Bottom Line Up Front, our new ebook, kind of encompassing in 10 short chapters what you should know when you're retiring, when you're getting out of the military. It's not specifically for retirees. It can be for anybody who is going to be taking off that uniform for the last time. So yeah, definitely read that or reach out to us on the military retirement group or via our podcast here on YouTube, and we can get you a link to that Bottom Line Up Front book. It's definitely a good read, especially if you need to learn how to navigate your last year, 2 years, whatever it might be of your career. It's definitely something that you should. Yeah, there you go. It's definitely something that you should have in your back pocket. It's a good piece of gear. Absolutely.
Yeah.
Let me see.
How many times did you read it again before we actually put it out?
Oh, dude, I can
Like
almost
7 or
recite
8?
that thing by heart. Yeah. Yeah, we did so many revisions on this thing, and every time we do revisions, I end up reading the whole thing again to see if I missed anything else.
Right.
That may just be like the military justice guy in me, because I was always reading contracts and for contractors and scopes of work and things like that, and cases and things like that, and I just have a tendency of rereading the entire thing, and that's why things take so long. But we finally got it out there. And also on the military retirement group, where I'm always putting out different things like, hey, what kind of business or career are you looking to get into after retirement? Just kind of spark some conversation in there. There's a couple other things that folks are writing in there. A lot of questions that maybe I can't answer or maybe John can answer, but I do like that a lot of the folks in the group kind of get together and help each other out and start commenting and helping the person out with a question. There's a question about getting 20% rated and then moving to a 50% rating and VA disability checks. There's a question about SGLI, which I'm not too familiar with. But yeah, I just love that people come together and help each other out on this platform.
Yeah, and there's definitely a lot of good opinions and a lot of good banter back and forth. It's really super chill, and nobody's out there attacking anybody or going at anybody's throat or anything like that. When it comes to the discussions, I really like that fact that the community is really, really chill and everybody's just
Yep.
trying to be generally helpful. So, yeah, there's tons of stuff that
Absolutely.
comes up, stuff that I don't have any clue about. They'll ask about some stuff about the Navy or Air Force specific stuff or something like that. And it's just we don't know everything. We're not the
No.
chat Victor and John GPT, but but we definitely do a lot of research actually in the background. Victor probably more than I do on the research side of things, at least when it comes to some of these really niche topics. I dive into all this equipment studio and podcasting and all this stuff so I can make sure that the show runs good every week, more than anything. But you said you were doing a couple deep dives on a couple things. What were you looking into?
That's right. That's right. So I'm doing a deep dive on the Project 2025. I know folks who are into, the presidency and all that stuff are probably looking into that and reading that. I'm not ready to let everything out yet because I'm still doing things and researching things as I normally do. But I took the Project 2025. I limited it to the veteran side, and I have it open on an Adobe Pro, and I'm highlighting things, researching them, and writing notes on exactly how it affects veterans, and really the way forward. That's my concern. It doesn't matter if it's left or right. It doesn't matter Republican, Democrat. That doesn't matter to me. What matters to me is how will this affect veterans in the future should these things take effect. So yeah, John, that's going to be coming out in the near future. I kind of go back and forth between work and reviewing the document here at home. Right now, I saved it in the latest version at work. So I'm not ready to kind of release all the information yet. But there is some interesting stuff in there, specifically how they're going to be managing future VA or VA disability claims. So I'm kind of curious how that's going to work out.
Yeah, and for anyone who's paying attention to that, I think Clay put it out maybe about a month or two ago is when he put out the first video that I
Yeah.
saw about it. And he does a really in-depth from the VHA, VBA, from both sides of the coin. Usually when he dives into some stuff like that, he's got a pretty good video out there, a really good video out there. As always, and he'll dive through and hit a couple talking points on there. Again, this is stuff that's being proposed. I think, as we spoke before we hopped on, and I was asking like, when is it actually going to go into effect? It's up for grabs. We don't know yet, but it's definitely stuff that's being proposed and it's stuff that's being looked at in Washington D.C. And so just stuff to keep an eye on. It's not really. Here's kind of my take on all the big news, and maybe you have a different opinion on it. But whenever I see something that says breaking news on it as the first like two words, I generally swipe off of it, close it down, shut it down, delete it. I don't like to get caught up in all the FOMO, but these are definitely things that pertain to veterans specifically, and we try to keep tabs on it. And Victor is the resident document sorter slash legalese translator, and he can go through all that stuff and figure it out and kind of relay it back to me and to you guys out in the audience, guys and girls, of what that stuff actually means. So lucky we have you, Victor.
Oh, thank you, man. I try to go as deep as possible with this stuff because one thing affects another thing, right? Same as how I mentioned when folks they add themselves or they do the whole they try to get added to the group, the military retirement group. In an effort to weed out any scammers, I look at their profile and I look at their photos. I'm like, okay, well, let's see if these people have any kind of military affiliation. And should they have military affiliation, then I add them into the group. I firmly believe that our group the military retirement group would have 10,000 folks in it if I just let everybody in, but I don't. So I actually vet all these folks to make sure that we are actually approving veterans or service members or retirees specifically. The amount, I'm sure you've seen it, John, in the admin portal, the amount of scammers that we get trying to gain access. And I'm like, who the hell are these people? With like, they just created a Facebook account 2 days ago or something. Yeah, I'm not. Yeah, we declined those on the spot.
Yeah, they're getting good. It's even getting to the point where if they do copy somebody else's profile, they'll copy like different pictures from different profiles and put them together. So you'll see like one picture of one family, and then you'll flash to a picture of another family, and you're like, this doesn't even make sense to me. So it's pretty fun.
Yeah, it got to the point where there was somebody who had put their military occupational specialty. They said they were Army, but then put this military occupational specialty on there. And me being the curious fellow that I am, I plugged it into Google, and it was actually an Air Force military occupational specialty, not an Army one. So I'm like, okay, well, this guy is kind of he's kind of shady. Let's decline this guy.
I'm part of Joint Force,
just
man.
weren't adding
You just
up.
don't understand.
What's that?
I said I'm part of Joint Force. You just don't understand.
Joint Forces, no. There's nothing Joint Forces about this guy.
Oh Lord.
Oh man.
Funny. Yeah. So actually, just to let everybody know, and I kind of misattributed this thing. I do this a lot sometimes. Actually did this with a gentleman who we're going to be bringing up on stage here and very shortly. But I put down in the description, if you see the description of this live video today, and it says at JP the Veteran Coach. He will be on next week. Is that correct?
That's correct. Yep.
Okay.
Next week, next Sunday.
So for those of you who wanted to catch him, he's not here today. I'm sorry. I apologize. That's completely my fault. I'll take the blame for that one. But he will be here with us next week, speaking with us. And it's probably going to be a pretty energetically charged episode, I would say. Huh?
If you've ever seen this guy's videos on Facebook, I invite you to go check him out. JP, the Veteran Coach, right? Juan Perez. That dude is very energetic. He is very passionate about what he does. And he's actually a speaker at the Military Influencers Conference coming up, which we're trying to get to. So, yeah, definitely check him out. JP, the Veteran Coach. We'll have him on here next week. Very energetic guy. Yeah, I'm going to have to probably down 2 cups of espresso for that one.
No problem. Yeah, I can't wait till we get there. If we get there to the military retirement, to the Military Influencer Conference and meet up with them and get some selfies, and maybe do an in-person at the conference. We'll see what happens. Yeah. So as with all things, we try to do a ton of interviews with veterans. We've probably done about 40 or so, 50 or so. I don't know how many it is now. It's been a lot, plus the ones that we weren't able to air because of whatever technical difficulties as well. But we did air one this week with the former SFL director from the United States Army. And yeah, we had him on. This was about 2 months ago when we actually conducted this interview. And I just wanted to bring David back on today to talk about the time from when we did the interview 2 months ago till now. About 2 months has transpired, and just to see how things are going and what life is like after retirement. We get very, very rare opportunities to kind of catch this in progress as it happens. So definitely want to bring David back up. And if you haven't checked out the interview, go and check out the Military Retirement Podcast on YouTube. You can go. It's the first one in the funnel there, and there's actually 2 versions of it, an audio only or the video version. So if you like that audio only version, let me know. If you don't, I'll get rid of it because I'm kind of indifferent. I just like the fact that it puts up 2 different things. So yeah, without further ado, let me bring David onto the stage. Hey.
Hello there.
How's it going, David?
Welcome.
Good. How are you doing?
Doing great. So I get to finally formally introduce you to Vic, the co-host of the Military Retirement Podcast here.
Great to meet you, Vic.
Welcome, David.
And it's great to see you. It's great to see you again too, John. It's great to see both of you. Thanks for making the time and inviting me on.
Absolutely. Yeah, I just wanted to try to catch up with you. I know we just released the episode the other day and probably been blowing up your LinkedIn the last 24 hours. Sorry about that. It happens. But just wanted to like catch up and see how everything's going, how retirement's been, the expectation that you had, or how we had the conversation, and it was probably just brand new, and you were excited to get into it, and you were excited to spend more time with your family and your son and your wife. But how's it been going? How's things been?
Yeah, I mean, retirement, the transition's really been amazing. It's been some of the best times for me. I really enjoyed it. Spending time with spending more time with my wife and with my son, having the chance to take my son to his program in the morning, having the time to pick him up, just having the flexibility of my schedule. So I've really enjoyed this, this retirement experience, and and making the most of it with the family time, with the time that you can't get back. So I'm really really enjoying it. Career wise, still looking at different opportunities, but the truth is this: because of a lot of the really because of a lot of programs like yours and the programs that the Army had to help prepare soldiers for transition. I felt like I was in a good space to kind of focus for a few months on my family, spend time with them before I start focusing again specifically on different professional and career opportunities.
Yeah, I think me and Victor have been talking about that a lot lately, actually, the last few months about um, whether to jump straight out of uniform straight into a job. And I think we discussed it in the interview as well. But it's curious. The further we're out being retired, the more we look back and we're like, it probably would have been cool to take like a year off or 6 months off and just to spend that time and just to do some discovery. Victor, you got something to say about
That's
that?
right. That's right. Yeah. So David, if you don't know, I jumped right into a career out of the Marine Corps, and now I work with the Navy on the surface warfare side. So it's I had about a month and a half of terminal leave to really myself to hang out with the family, and then I jumped into something else immediately because I kind of had that empty space there that I needed to find my next mission, my next passion, right? And now looking back at it, I'm wishing that I would have took more time off to kind of spend with the family, especially during like the summer vacation time frame, right? Um, that may or may not happen in the future. As I'm kind of navigating everything, I'm trying to see when I'd have more time, financially, when I can do it, things like that. But yeah, right off the bat, I'm wishing that I would have took a little bit more time off, like you're doing right now.
Right. And I've really enjoyed this. I mean, I think last time when we spoke, John, I think I mentioned to you that my son was in the EFMP program. So I I mean, I actually, as much as I'm enjoying everything that I'm doing right now, I still feel as busy as when I was working, just with the things that I need to do around the house, and the
Mhm.
day-to-day things with my son, with the house, and with my wife. So it's I know it for me, it's a great way to support my wife also, so she's not that responsibility doesn't fall on her alone. We're both able to tag team. We're both able to tag team together. But just the fact that I have this pause right now, it's really helped me a lot in regards to the things that I need to do, that my wife and I need to do specifically for our son.
Yeah, and I kind of wanted to ask you as well because I know we were trying to figure out like we definitely spoke about the ability to get life insurance and health insurance and things of that nature. How is that as far as the transition from active duty to retired, um, the ability to then carry over some of that health care for your son for those EFMP needs? Is there an EFMP program beyond? Because I'm totally not educated on it. And I'm just curious if there's something beyond for retirees or something from the VA that kind of kicks in to help with any of that.
Well, in regards to healthcare, it was a matter of within 90 days after my retirement date of signing up for the TRICARE for retirees. So I signed up. I signed up for that program. In regards to any, and that was a and that was a big help, just knowing that I needed to sign up within 90 days. And a lot of the one reason I knew about signing up was because of a lot of the conversations that took place here on LinkedIn, where there would be some soldiers that would say, "Hey, I didn't know I was supposed." They would say, "When I got out, I didn't know I was supposed to sign up for healthcare within 90 days," and the 90 days went by. So when I read kind of comments like that, I knew that, hey, that's something that I need to look into. But healthcare has gone very, very smoothly. That process went smoothly. Um, in regards, there's not necessarily an EFMP program for my son now, but within the community and within the state, there are different community programs that provide the type of support for individuals with special needs. In regards to life insurance, and this is a um, fairly common topic that I've seen come across my feed on LinkedIn. Um, Life insurance, I really would suggest that individuals, think about getting policies even before they're thinking about getting out the service. Definitely before you go through the disability process. But there's some value for individuals to think about whether or not whole life policies they'd have value with that, even early on in their career, because that lasts a lifetime, and you don't have to worry about the prices going up or it essentially lasts your entire life as long as you pay the premiums. The reason I think that's important is because I could have been put in a position where it may have been difficult for me to get coverage if I waited until I gotten out. Where since I've had policies from when I was younger, it was kind of like a smooth transition. It was one less thing that I needed to look into as much. I was able to check that box since I had taken care of that a couple of years ago.
Yeah, that's good. I think a lot of folks overlook that getting the policies because they go from the SGLI that you get in the military. It's like 400,000, 500,000, something like that, and then it just stops right afterwards. And then you kind of left after you leave the military, and then you're kind of left without anything. So you have to kind of think ahead about that stuff. Do I want to look after my family? How am I going to do that? So that's good, man. I commend you for that. And that's good information for anybody out there that's listening is look into the life insurances before you get out.
Right. Before you get out, and before you even thinking about getting out, because there's value in looking into it, even early on in your career, so you can make a decision about, do you want to get a policy now as opposed to when you get out. In regards to those two areas, health wise, medical insurance wise, health wise, it's been a great transition within 30 to 45 days of officially retiring. The VA was, got letters from the VA about what my next steps need to be for any services from the VA. So it's just a matter of now just some following up with the VA and following up with all the programs that are out there.
Now, have you encountered any hiccups with the VA with the whole process, or has it been like smooth sailing the whole time through?
I'd say 95% of it has been smooth. If there were any hiccups, which none come to mind right now, they were easily worked through within a matter of days. But there are definitely no showstoppers. But I kind of attribute that to a lot of the feedback that I got from here and on LinkedIn about start the process early, start preparing for retirement early. How it's not an event, it's a process. And also when it comes to working and dealing with the VA, start that claims process early. So that's one thing I'd recommend to anyone who's listening to you right now.
Yeah, and I definitely want to make sure I give you enough time back. I know we spent about an hour on the interview, And I don't want to take up your whole Sunday. I know you got tons of stuff to do, and I'm sure you're discovering along the way how much actual work was was at the house while you were at the office or in uniform. I've discovered the same along my path as well, and it's those little things that really, really kind of count around the house sometimes. But the one final kind of thing that I wanted to ask, and maybe Victor's got something else that he wants to ask at the end here, but I wanted to ask your advice on book publishing. We just released our ebook. It's about 50-page book, 10 chapters, really short, super simple, just something to give people a better perspective on if they're trying to decide to get out or getting ready to retire or getting ready to transition out of the military. Just 10 good chunks of information with a few details and some information in there. That took us quite a long time, at least it felt like quite a long time to put together. I know you've written 2 books so far, right? Unless there's any others that I haven't seen yet.
Right, 2 books and plus my dissertation,
Right.
which was published also.
Right. So I would just want to ask like your advice real quick on going about writing a bigger book, because I know Victor's working on one. I'm also working on something in the background. And I remember you had mentioned something about you had written the book and then you went after you'd completed and finished it, and then you took it to editing, and then you went to go shop it to publishers. Do you have any advice now that you've done that process a couple times for like new book writers?
Yeah, absolutely. And there's 2 different routes. There's one route where an author can try to actually go the route of a publishing house purchasing their book and then distributing it. And then now, because of Amazon and a lot of the other self-publishing platforms, there's a route, and this is the route that I went, where individuals can write their book, have it edited on their own, proofread on their own, and then have it uploaded to a site like Amazon for other individuals to read, to purchase, to download. And for me, going the self-publishing route, the Amazon route, was I preferred that route. That was the right route for me. I definitely like that route, especially if you're trying to reach a large audience where Amazon has such a large reach. Able to have the book uploaded as an ebook or available as a paperback. That a book like yours, which has value to every person that's leaving the military, plus their family members. I mean, I would see a lot of interest in that, just because of the type of information that people need, even if they got out of the service years ago. But with Amazon, it actually lays out a lot of the steps that I found that made the process easy for me. Some of the things that I was very particular about was ensuring that it was edited appropriately, just so when individuals see it, they see that it's a professional product. And no matter how many times I would proofread it, I would always miss stuff on my own, and whether that's using a professional editor or having a team of editors people that you know who are good editors, I would go that route. But once you have what you consider a good product and it's ready to go, then Amazon's available to have it uploaded at no cost to the author, and then it's essentially within days it's ready for the public. There's some formatting specifics that have to be met when it's uploaded, but the way the software is now, if it doesn't meet that format, it tells you, oh, your margins are too big or too small, and those are minor fixes that need to be made. And then, of course, the cover. There are plenty of tools out there to help authors make an attractive cover that will gain people's attention. But really, for an ebook, Amazon, Barnes and Noble Online has another site where authors can upload books upload books for free, so people can either buy it or read them for free. So really a lot of options out there. It's just a matter of creating a quality product, a quality professional product for the readers to obtain.
Yeah, I'm glad you shared all that stuff, David, because I may have some more questions for you in the future
Right.
as I
Oh,
go through
good.
the process. Yeah,
Good.
as John mentioned, yeah, we're both working on something, our own little projects here, and I've been working with a format and then going back and forth and trying to make sure that I have it correctly for Amazon, right? And I mean, there's tons of videos out there too, like YouTube, and tons of blogs out there who can assist me navigating all that stuff too. So yeah, I'm glad you mentioned that because I know that's something that I'm working on myself.
Great, great. And if just one last comment about that, and one thing
Sure.
that I'd mention to anyone who's listening, who's thinking about writing a book, or I would, there are a lot of publishing companies out there who are ready to charge individuals for stuff that you could really do on your own. I would just,
Right.
before anyone starts paying someone to self-publish their book, I would ask them to look twice at what they're really paying for, because a lot of it is stuff that you could do on your own, and they're really just charging you for the ease of them doing it, but the prices sometimes just look crazy. So I just advise anyone to be aware of what they're purchasing if they're going to pay a company to self-publish their book.
Yeah, that's a really good rule of thumb. That's the same kind of rule of thumb we try to let people know when we're telling them to, if you want to go find a veteran advocate or a VSO or something like that to help you with your claims process, be careful because there's people, it seems like in every single industry, there's like a group of people that are doing the same kind of thing. Like if it's Amazon, KDP, self-publishing, right? You can do it on your own. You just have to do a little bit of reading and you have to do, but people don't want to do the reading, right? So they'd rather pay the 200, 500, $1,000 to have somebody else do it for them and just wipe their
Right.
hands clean of it.
Right, right. And I think that's unfortunate because I've seen individuals of all ranks paying for that, VSO, things that VSOs would help them with for free, but they think because it's free, it's not good. But I had I had full confidence in the VSO support that I received during my process.
Yeah. And I also wanted to ask you just one other quick thing. That the audience is generally older, where we've done 20 years, 25, 30 years in the military. A lot of us have a tendency that we want to potentially write something, that we want to put out a memoir, or we had a really interesting military career and we want to kind of just like let the world know about it or put it out there. When do you know it's time to sit down and write the book versus just having this idea in your head bouncing around and you're thinking about it?
Well, well, I really think when you keep thinking about it. When sometimes I get an idea, I think of it today and it never comes back to mind. Again, it's just, but there's an idea, I think about it today, then I think about it tomorrow, then the week after, and then that's when I realize that, oh, this is the idea, this is something that I really want to do and something that I should do. So that's kind of, for me, that's how I know when it's not just a flash in the pan. It's something that kind of sticks with me, and the only way to kind of scratch that itch is to sit down and start typing at the keyboard.
Yeah. Well, if you don't have anything, Victor, I'm going to let David get back to his day. I didn't want to hold him hostage here on the show all day today. But
No, you're
thank
all
you
good. You're all good.
thank you for coming back on and hanging out with us. I just wanted to check in with you. I'd like to do that with everybody if everybody's available to come back and check in with us, but just to see how things were going, see if everything's okay. And it sounds like everything's going well. So I wish you the best in the job hunting, and at the same time, I hope that you maybe never find a job and just enjoy what you're doing outside of working. So.
Right, right. No, thank you, and thanks for all your support and all the content you put out there. Yeah, there's gonna be plenty of time, for me to work, but I'm, really enjoying this time right now with my wife and son, and just being around the house, been keeping me busy, supporting my son and everything. But I'm looking forward to, in the near future, making sure that I get back out there so I can contribute in a different way. And also, thanks for everything, and thanks for having me back on, and really appreciate it.
Yeah, anytime, anytime. We really, really enjoy having you as an interviewee, as a guest, and as a guest today as well. So thanks for taking out your time. Then let your family know, your son and your wife both, that we really appreciate the fact that that they've allowed us to take some of that time out of your day so that you can sit down with us and talk with us and with the broader
right.
audience out there.
Okay, great, will do. Okay,
That's
take
right.
care. Okay,
All right,
All right,
thanks,
David.
David.
Good talking to you.
Same here. Same here.
No, that was all good information, John, man. Thanks for bringing them on. I have so many questions about the whole authoring and book process, dude. It's a lot, man. It's kind of like navigating the retirement process, right? It's like there's so many people providing so much information on this one topic. And I was actually I had a question for somebody on I think it was a Facebook group about writing a book, about publishing the book, and they sent me a message saying they can help me out. Looked on the website, and there's it's several thousands of dollars to get something edited, and for their assistance. And I'm wondering, like, is this something I can do on my own? Why am I having to pay for this? Right? It's almost like The Office. You watch The Office, right? You know Dwight Schrute.
Yeah.
Dwight Schrute. He has mentioned before he has trouble paying for something that he can do himself, and
Right.
I feel the same way, right? I will gladly pay my dentist because I'm not going to do my own dental work. But if I can read about it online and I can figure out how to write a book, if I can figure out how to retire from the military, I can figure out how to write a book. I can figure this stuff out on my own. So yeah, I have issues paying somebody thousands of dollars for something I can do my own research on.
Yeah, it's a hard line in the sand to cross back and forth over, because there's some stuff you just don't want to do. Like some people just don't want to mow their lawn and they'd rather pay somebody else to do it. And
yeah, well, I mean, it's a thing of convenience too, right?
Right.
I mean, if it's more convenient for somebody to pay somebody to do their VA claim for you, which is an exorbitant amount from my experience, 5 times the amount that you're going to be rated after the fact, which for me came out to like 17,000. My example that I threw out there. If you're okay with paying for that, if you're comfortable and it's all about convenience for you, hey, more power to you. Whatever helps you sleep better at night. As for me, again, I have issues with paying somebody something that I can do on my own.
Right. Yeah, it's there's so many things out there like that, and that's why I wanted to ask David about it too, because he's already published a few books, and I've talked to a few authors as well. And my brother's written a book on how to publish a book as well. So it's not that I don't have the information, but sometimes you feel like you're in information overload. It's the same way, again, transitioning out of the military, you feel like you're in information overload because there's just so much stuff, and it's always more and more and more stuff. If you actually look at it, like the interviews that we do, the Sunday shows that we do, like we just keep saying the same thing over and over and over and over. Really, I'm not gonna BS you about it. That's what we do. There are some things that come up, like the 2025 thing, different adjustments to VA policies and policies in Congress and things like that relate to veterans and to our benefits and to our pay scales. But generally speaking, like it's the same stuff over and over and over and over. And it's really, the reason why is because me personally, I can hear something, 25, 30, 40 times and just I don't internalize it and I don't get it. And then on the 51st time, I get it, right? So, but that's kind of the point, right? Is to not I mean, I'm sure there's people out there who will do all of your military retirement paperwork as well and walk your stuff through as well as much as they can without your CAC, right? So I'm sure there's people out there that do that service as well. There's somebody out there doing services for everything out there. So
but what's good about it is getting the different perspectives from everybody. So you mentioned we say the same thing over and over, and that's our baseline. But then we bring on these folks, these guests who have had different experiences. And, maybe one has had, a bad experience with the VA, or maybe a good experience with the VA, or, bad experience with the whole, just hiccups along the road. We learn from other people's mistakes. We learn from other people's stories, right? And that's why we want to share all that stuff with the folks that we, that are in our audience listening. The more you hear about different perspectives, the more you learn, and the more you can avoid those certain mistakes that maybe you should be doing.
Yeah. And fortunately or unfortunately, like it just happens to be packaged in like a 1 or 2 or 3 hour podcast, right? I think at some point we're going to go back and start clipping off like 20-minute, 30-minute, 15-minute portions of each podcast and sending those out as maybe a separate channel or something like that. Not right now, because the podcast by itself already right now is already enough. I don't think we have the bandwidth to do anything beyond what we're already putting into it, which is a ton. But yeah, I think sometime in the future, it's just, we're trying to figure that out, I guess, along the way as well. Just trying to figure out like what resonates, what is actually useful, what's the right amount of time for somebody to do, because I don't think it's ever going to be bad to do 2-hour interviews, because I think there's stuff in a 2-hour interview that you just don't capture in a 20 or 30-minute slot on morning television, because they just go so fast, and then they clip out a whole bunch of stuff. They actually do like a 45 or a 50-minute interview for a 15-minute spot on Good Morning America or whatever, and they just clip a ton of that stuff out. So yeah, I don't think there's ever a spot where it's not useful. It's just finding the right mix, and who and how and what really makes the most sense. So we're always trying to figure that out.
Dude, I was just listening to a podcast. It's on my rotation of podcasts. While I go to work, my commute to work is probably about 20, 25 minutes or so. So I usually get a good listen in on my way, right? Either there or back. And this one podcast I listen to, normally they go for about an hour or so. This guy dropped an 8-hour episode, and I'm like, I'm sorry, there's no way I'm listening to this, right? I'm gonna get bored of it after a while, right? I mean, it's got some good folks on it, but I'll probably just cut to the chase and go straight to what I want to listen to. An 8-hour podcast it's not my jam, man, unfortunately.
Yeah,
but
that's the beauty of this too, right? Is we can timestamp things and we can highlight. Again, there's a lot of stuff that you'll see over and over and over and over, but different perspectives of it. But we can actually highlight those pieces where you can just jump to that portion of the interview, or if you need to go back and look at it, like you can just hunt and search and find that stuff. That's probably the most important thing about it.
Yeah. So one thing I want to share real quick, just kind of shifting gears.
Yep.
I want to share it with the audience, for anybody out there listening. If you are into the Olympics and you're watching the Olympics and maybe you can't catch it online because maybe you don't want to pay for the streaming service, whatever, I completely understand. If you didn't know, go to NBC, to where they host the Olympics on there. And when they ask you to enter your TV provider, put exchange, like the word like Navy Exchange or AFES. And so AFES has a deal with NBC for anybody who a active duty service member, veteran. You can go on there and you can catch the Olympics for free. All right. I just found this out. I don't know where I found this out. Somebody had mentioned it to me. Then yeah. Oh,
right there
was
at the
at
top.
Work. That's what it was.
Right there at the top. I didn't even have to type anything in.
Yeah, AFES. I was at work and somebody had mentioned to me, hey, we're out downstairs watching the Olympics. I'm like, how are you watching the Olympics? I'm over here.
What do you
I got a
mean?
Word document. I'm typing stuff up. And yeah, as long as you have an account with APs, which if you're in the military, veteran, or whatever, you can get an account easily with the exchange.
Yep.
Go on there, put your information on there, get access, start watching the Olympics, cheer on Team USA. The more you know. Dun, dun,
The more you know. Boom, boom, boom.
just a little way we can give back to the veteran community this week.
That's awesome. That's awesome. Yeah,
But, dude,
I saw your post on that, and I was like, huh.
Yeah, man. It's I didn't know because I have the NBC app, right? And
Right.
I'm like, man, why am I paying for this? Just I already paid until next month. I mean, or, might as well just keep it. Shoot.
Yeah. Or you just move to Europe
that.
and you can see it on any TV station for free, basically all day, every day.
There you go. Yeah, US charges for everything, unfortunately. So, but yeah,
they
man,
don't charge
I've
for
been
ketchup.
following no, what's that? They don't charge for ketchup.
No, we charge for ketchup over here. You don't charge.
Really?
Yeah.
Holy crap, man. Yeah, they just give out ketchup packets like it's cool here.
Right.
No, but dude, as I'm watching the Olympics, man, I'm watching them do like the twists and the turns and the floor work and all that stuff, how they do the uneven bars and those parallel bars. And I'm thinking to myself, because I live close to a gym here and they have a whole gymnastics center in the back. And probably last month, even before thinking about the Olympics, I walked in there with my kids, and I'm just jumping up and down and attempting to do the parallel bars or the uneven bars. Not that I'm in any way an Olympic athlete. I really did bust my ass on there, man. I'm so glad that they had a foam pit under me because I would have broke my damn neck. But it's incredible, man. The amount of effort that takes, the amount of practice that takes. And it really got me thinking, like, even after I retired, before I retired, I was constantly on the go, right? Constantly working on my health. I was constantly working on running because I wanted to improve my run time. And at one point I had like my 3-mile run right before I retired. 3-mile run was at like 22, 23 minutes or so, for the personal fitness test or the physical fitness test. And, even after I retired, I was like, man, I was having some trouble running now because, I've got pains in my legs and stuff, things that I've been putting off for so long. And I think it's a mental thing now. It's like the more I think about the issues there, like I was just kind of putting it off before because I was working on my run. Now that I'm thinking about it more, it's starting to hurt a little bit more. And I don't know, I attribute that to like me thinking about it, like just a mental thing. It's always on my mind. Whereas when I was active duty in uniform, it wasn't really on my mind as much. But yeah, man, I'm feeling the aches and pains, and it's like I just retired 8 months ago this month. And I'm feeling it more now than I did 8 months ago. And I'm thinking it might be a mental thing.
You think it's like
What
a
do you
mental
think?
block? Like you're like,
I do.
now that you're out, now you can tell yourself this different narrative or this different story about your physical fitness and conditioning and all that stuff.
Yeah, I think it has to do with the word retirement, right? And mentally, when you think about retirement, you think about maybe you're old, sitting on the beach somewhere and enjoying life and your later years in your 60s, whatever. And I think that's whenever I think about military retirement, I don't think about, hey, I'm 40 years old or I'm in my 40s. I think about, okay, I'm supposed to feel this way because I'm in my later years, and I need to get that out of my head because that's not helping me in any way, shape, or form. So now I'm focusing more on getting active. I'm actually going to the gym a little bit more now. Started like last month because I wanted to get out of that mental state. I wanted to get myself to dig myself out of there. Like, I'm not going to limit myself. I'm not this old guy, right? Nothing wrong with being older, but I should not be mentally feeling like this or physically feeling like this as soon as I turn 40, right?
Right.
I should continue to be active because I can still walk. I can still move my arms. I still have flexibility to a certain extent. But yeah, man, I think it's all a mental block. I really do. And I put myself in that position because I constantly think about the word retirement.
Yeah, I don't know what it.
Strange.
I know for myself, I haven't been exercising as much. I know and I've been out since 2021, so I've been
Mhm.
out a little bit longer. The first year, I probably took it somewhat easy. I think actually the second year is the year that I spent like the whole entire summer in the water swimming every single day, and that wasn't like super heavy duty like crazy swimming. That was the swimming that I do plus some diving stuff, some free diving stuff. But and that really like being in a weightless environment, a semi-weightless environment, and then doing movements and doing breathing and stuff like that for me is the absolute like number one best way to not damage your body and still get a lot of exercise and a lot of benefit out of it, plus the respiratory stuff that you get from holding your breath, or if you're breathing with a tube or something like that, or if you're doing stroke
Yeah,
work
yeah.
and doing that kind of breathing, you have like this repetitive rhythm of breathing. This past year, yeah, I haven't been doing much of anything. I've really been spending a lot of time behind the computer screen and sitting here doing homework and doing research and doing podcast stuff, and a lot of time behind the computer screen. I'm trying to get out more and more and more. It's hard. I don't think for me there's not really a mental block for the word retirement, but it's more of trying to still figure out my schedule and balance out my schedule and figure out where it goes, what goes into what, and
Mhm.
how things
Yeah.
operate on my schedule more than anything. There's a thing, and I think you may have heard of it. I mean, you listen to the Tim Ferriss podcast a lot, but
Mhm.
this one guy, Coach Summer, and he's got it used to be called Gymnastic Strength Training, gymnasticbodies.com. And of course, they're not sponsoring the show or not anything like that, not affiliated. But there's a ton of like body weight exercise you can do. And the main thing about this whole exercise training program, and I've actually got the ebook somewhere. If you want a
Mhm.
copy of it, I could probably send it to you. But um, it's essentially about flexibility and mobility, right? So as we get older, as we start to get up in age, 40, 50, 60, 70, we generally tend to lose a lot of that flexibility and mobility, especially around the ankles and the knees, the back, the upper torso, depending on how much bench work you did and how much lifting weights you did when you were in the military. You may have these
Right.
big like pecs and shoulders and stuff like that, but your back isn't fully developed to counterbalance all that stuff that you built in the front to look big and strong. So, but there's a bunch of stuff in here. There's a bunch of free stuff in here as well, and then he does some podcasts as well, or he's been on a few podcasts. But really, really interesting stuff. Really, really interesting. And I would say moving forward, like flexibility and mobility is really the two key things. Of course, you want to like try to keep your weight down and try to manage all that stuff, your diet and like all that stuff. But you can't do everything. Like you're one person. So I would say if you haven't looked into that already, or if you haven't come across it, that's a really good, interesting program to check out.
Yeah, yeah. I'm glad you brought that up because I'm reading everything about functional fitness right now. That's really big for me. I mean, I firmly believe that at my age right now, I shouldn't be feeling what I'm feeling. But again, that has to do with my, all my stuff, my ailments that I've been putting off for so many years, right? Because I've been wanting to train with my Marines. I've been wanting to do things, right? So maybe in my younger years, I wouldn't go to medical because it was looked down upon or because I thought maybe I could push through it. And now it's catching up to me, right? A big thing that I tell folks now who are, a little bit younger, even my kids, stretching after you work out is the key, man, because I neglected that for so many years. I would go, because I was young, right? I didn't feel it. I wouldn't even do like the warm-ups before. I'd jump right on the bench, or I'd go straight into a sprint or something, and I would neglect stretching afterwards. And now it's catching up to me. Now when I go down to touch my toes, I feel it in my, the inside of my heel, which is strange. And I have to look it up, and I asked the doctor about it, the chiropractor about it. And now I'm feeling the ball joint, in my hip. And I'm like, what is this? What the hell's going on with me? What's holding me together right now? But yeah, it's so important right now, especially after you leave the service, to take care of yourself. It's so important, man, because as I'm feeling these things in my body, I'm thinking to myself, my kids are still young. They still want to play ball. They still want to play baseball. A while back, I had to stop throwing the baseball with my kid because I had a shoulder injury and it started hurting. So I taught myself how to throw with my left arm. I'm a righty. I taught myself how to throw with my left arm. I found a left-handed glove, and that's what I've been doing for a while now because I have a rotational injury. Every so often, I don't feel it as much, depends on how much naproxen I take, etc. But yeah, these are the things that I need to take care of in my later years after retirement, because I want to be able to run with my kids. I want to be able to do things with my kids, right? And I'm way too young to be feeling like this. And I think a lot of folks kind of like discount that when they get out of the service and they think it's smooth sailing now. I can just chill out. I can go move to Costa Rica or something like that, just sit on the beach and not have to do anything ever again. Don't do that. Keep walking.
No.
It doesn't have to be strenuous. You don't have to go out and do PRs or, run your physical fitness test times anymore, but at least go out there and walk. At least go out there and do a jog or do some stretches. Go to the local YMCA and join in on the class. That's exactly what I'm doing with my kid. My kid is into like boxing. He's always doing this shadow boxing and stuff. I'm like, hey, why don't we go to this boxing class that I know of? And that's our thing now. Not only do we hang out together now because he enjoys that, I'm also getting a sweat in because, it's not an easy class. You're sweating. I'm dripping sweat after, but it's exactly what I needed, I think. It's an hour-long boxing class. That's twice a week. That's exactly what I needed to keep that motion going, to not feel like I'm disassembling or whatever, falling apart.
Right. Yeah, that, and then just keeping the appointment, like if it's every day, if it's every other day, just not ever getting to the point where like, oh, I've reached the pinnacle of fitness mountain and now I'm good and now I don't have to do any fitness anymore. It's a nonstop event. It doesn't ever end, really. Like, yeah, it's like breathing.
Not
like
if you want to be able to walk in your later years.
Right. It's just like breathing. Like if you take a break from breathing for a couple of days, you're probably not going to be in a good spot.
No.
You don't want to do that with your health, with your fitness, with your mental health as well, with the little habits that get you through the day, your reading habits, your hygiene habits, like all those things. They don't just stop. You don't get to the magic mountain of super clean teeth. Like you have to continually brush your teeth, once, twice, 3 times a day. So
that's right.
Yeah,
that's right. It is continuous, man. And I stopped for a while. I stopped working, not brushing my teeth. I mean, I stopped working out for a while.
Ew.
Just to make things clear. I stopped working out for like a month last month, right? Because I was so busy in things and I was trying to figure things out. I was at work and I came home just trying to get everything done for the kids. And I wasn't focusing on myself, on number one, right? Like I got to focus on my family, but I also have to focus on number one, because who is the provider? It's this guy right here. Yep. So I cannot neglect the provider, the protector, we say. So I had to focus on myself a little bit. And I stopped for a month, started feeling it. And when I stopped, I started feeling these aches and pains when I stopped like going to the gym.
Mhm.
And I'm like, oh man, what the hell was that? You know, I get out of bed, I was like, holy shit, you know. That all happened when I stopped. And I'm like, as they say, motion is lotion, right? Like as long as you're moving, as long as you're walking, you're feeling all right.
Yep.
I mean, shoot, you live out there in Europe, man. I am certain that you go out and you see folks in like their 90s walking up hills and stuff, you know, just walking in the mornings and in evenings. I'm certain that happens. I've been to Europe before. I've seen it, you know.
Yeah, they're not out there just walking for their health though. They're out there literally carrying like bags of groceries and like bottles of water and stuff. Like
they have a purpose behind it, but they're not constantly just driving the car to a whatever it is, a Piggly Wiggly or something. They're actually like doing things with a purpose, right? But a part of that is they're having to walk. They're picking up sacks of potatoes or whatever, you know, bags of rice. They're doing these things that keep them in motion. So that I think that's a lot of retirees need to keep that in their mind, in the back of their mind. Don't stop walking. Don't stop your daily activities just because the word retirement is now in your title. You know, it's a constant. You got to constantly keep going, or else you're gonna start feeling it.
Yeah. One other thing that I wanted to bring up real quick, hopefully real quick. As I was doing class recently, and we started going into some like ways to find things, benefits for different like veterans, for active duty folks. It always seems to rotate and revolve back to this Military OneSource website. And I've been using Military OneSource website for years and years and years and years for various different things. But they keep adding more and more stuff, and they keep getting more enmeshed into the actual military communities and like the DOD and stuff like that. So there's a thing on there called Benefits Finder, and I can put it up in the, let me see if I can grab the link here, put it up in the chat or in the show notes or whatever. But basically this website is where you can go and take a look and see if you're looking for something specific for as far as like, let me see if I can get the main page up real quick. All right, so Benefits Finder, I think it's got it locked into something, but you can go down here and you can say, okay, I'm a spouse. I'm looking for, no, I don't want to give feedback, sorry. I'm a spouse. I'm looking for, I don't know, education and employment. And what it'll do is it'll start to filter these things down, and you can look through here now, and it's A to Z. You can sort by A to Z or featured or whatever. Like, let's try featured and see what it says. But there's a bunch of stuff in here. There's like, I think we did another page that we were looking at as far as like education benefits. And you could just literally go in there and type in a few things and find education benefits. And at one point there was one search that we did, and we had actually filtered some stuff down, and there was like $400,000+ worth of education benefits out there to be had in the form of grants and scholarships and different things like that. So there's tons of stuff out there that you may or may not already know about. But this website on Military OneSource is a really, really, really good way to find some of this stuff. Like let's filter down the Marine Corps. Let's see what happens. American Opportunity Tax, Career One Stop. Just a ton of stuff out here. DOD Transition Assistance Program, of course. But yeah, there's a bunch of stuff out. If you're looking for some things, some benefits or some things, whether you're a spouse, whether you're a service member, whether you're a veteran, and you're just hunting around trying to find some different things, like especially education benefits, employment benefits, discounts, healthcare, housing, relationship help, retirement help, like there's all kinds of stuff on here. And it's a really easy way to just find a bunch of that stuff really quickly. So I highly recommend going to Military OneSource. I know we've mentioned it before again and again and again, but if you haven't been on the site, or if you haven't been on the site recently, There's a ton of benefits and a ton of help out there on Military OneSource that you can just plug into really quickly and easily. And this particular benefits finder thing will allow you to filter down and figure out specifically what you're looking for, and then just get the list of resources, and then you can go one by one as you need.
There you go. A one-stop shop, man. I like that. I like Military OneSource, man. I've used their services in the past. And for those out there who are listening who didn't know, you actually rate services from Military OneSource up to 365 days, 1 year after you leave the service. No matter if you separate, no matter if you retire, you rate it for 365 days. A lot of times when you have a lapse in your like therapy appointments and things like that, Military OneSource can help you out with that by sending you up with a therapist. I know because I've done it in the past, and they can definitely help you out with that. And on top of that, they have just a ton of other resources, like you just mentioned, you know, like benefits and Finder and all that. Just a good all around resource to have in your back pocket.
Yeah. And easy to filter, and like I said, filter and search and figure out if you're looking for anything specific. Like if you're looking for anything military related or something like that, you'll find it on Military OneSource one way or another.
Oh yeah. Yeah. And definitely take advantage of all those scholarships and those grants. There's a huge pot of money out there for folks who want to get their education, right? If you've run out of your post 9/11 GI Bill, or if you don't rate VRE, look into scholarships. There's so many out there, not just for dependents, and you can actually get them as the veteran yourself. So I know, because I looked it up. I was kind of afraid that if I did not, or once I utilized all my post 9/11 GI Bill, what am I going to do after that if I wanted to continue my education? They have so many different scholarships, but lucky enough that we also have the VRE as well that can possibly help me out with my continuation of education as well.
Yeah.
Speaking of that, I cannot get, they cannot move my appointment. VRE, it's all location dependent. So some folks can get their stuff approved with an interviewer and starting VRE after like a month after you apply. For me, being in Southern California, and there's a ton of veterans out here, it is taking about almost a year to get an appointment with the interviewer to see if I'm able to utilize the VRE process for a master's degree to continue my master's degree. So it's not even a definite. It's like just the precursor to the precursor, right? So
yeah, it's
almost a year. Yeah, but it is what it is. I mean, they're backed up. They're working as much as they can. And I even looked it up online on USA Jobs. They are hiring like crazy for these counselors, these veteran counselors. Yeah, they're. I saw a couple of openings on there. So when the guy emailed me back, the interviewer saying that that my appointment was like June 2025. I looked up his title on USA Jobs, and sure enough, there's a lot of openings for that. Let's see if I can find that here really quick.
They pay some decent money too.
What do they start at? Like GS 9, 12? What is it?
I just did a search for VRE, and it's coming up with vocational rehab counselors for the VA.
That's the one. Yep.
This is a GS 13. There's a 14 position. There's a 12 position.
Yeah. Hey, so if you're listening, start applying to these jobs, because we need to get this stuff done faster.
I need my damn VRE now.
Yeah. I need it. Yeah, exactly. Like, hey, we want VRE, but we don't have enough people to review this stuff, so we're going to back it up some months. Yeah. Start applying.
Yeah, Los Angeles is like the number 3 hit on the list there. Los Angeles Regional Benefits Office.
Yeah, and I'm sure like San Diego is lumped in with Los Angeles and Long Beach and all that stuff, wherever the veterans live, right? So it's
SoCal.
It's yeah, exactly, SoCal. So they're getting hit pretty hard.
Yeah, it looks like Seattle, then Cleveland, then Los Angeles, and then I think I saw South Carolina on there, which doesn't surprise me at all. Wow. I didn't know they had that many.
South Carolina.
Interesting.
And what's the title of that job called?
I can just pull it up real quick. It's I literally just searched VRNE on USA
Vocational Rehab
Jobs
Counselor.
and supervisory vocational rehab counselor, and then they've got Voc Rehab Counselor, which is at $60K. It's a GS 9 to 12. And then Voc Development Specialist, which I don't know what that is. And that's 72. It's a GS 11.
And these are remote jobs, yes?
I don't know if they're remote. Jobs only current federal employees, surplus or displaced. I think
you can just click on one. It'll tell you on the right-hand side.
Yeah, it should have it in one of these little buttons here. But yeah, let me pull up the LA one. The LA one. See what that says.
Yeah, it'll tell you on the right-hand side. Remote job, no?
Nope.
Some of them are, some of them aren't. So yeah, you see San Diego on there, you see Oakland, California on there. So there's a lot, man. There's a lot of need for it. So if you're looking for a GS position, help us out, us VRNE folks out, and start applying, and let's push this stuff through.
Well, as we say too, like if you really, really, really are looking to do Voc rehab counseling, just go to your local VA office, their branch office or regional office, and see if they need some volunteers.
Yeah, get your foot in the door. And that way they know that you know how you operate, that your intentions, and then maybe they can put in a good word for you when the time comes and they're looking at your resume.
Yeah, if you go in and do volunteer work and you just help out and just really provide value to the organization, like it's just a matter of time before they actually say, hey, we have this position opening up and we think you'd be good for it. Why don't you apply? Really.
Yeah, that's a good way to get your foot in the door, man. Like even with my organization now, I'll get emails, internal emails about job openings, like GS openings within the department. And I'm a DOD contractor, right? Like I'm kind of outside of that whole GS world. I wouldn't mind getting my foot in the door with the whole GS world, right? But I think a big piece to getting your foot in the door is starting out as a DOD contractor, letting them know how well you can operate within that vicinity, within your job role. And once the announcement comes through, once you get into that internal email system where they're sharing, job openings, talk to your folks. I mean, the HR folks for me, for the GS side, work like one office over. They're the ones that are sending out the email saying, hey, look, do you know of anybody who can fill this job? And, I haven't found one. A lot of what I do, a lot of my work, not specifically mine, but in my department is very technical. So I don't speak that language yet, but I'm getting there. So once I do feel comfortable with that, I'm going to go ahead and apply for one of those positions. But that's a good way for anybody looking to get into the GS world. Start off as a DOD contractor. There's a lot of big companies out there who hire contractors, like Booz Allen and a couple of other big ones.
Mantech, General Dynamics.
Lockheed and
Lockheed Martin.
So a lot of big companies out there. Get your foot in the door by starting out as a DOD contractor. From what I've heard and from what I've seen, once you start as a DOD contractor and you step into a GS role, a lot of times it's kind of a pay cut. But as a GS, because DOD contractors do get paid a good amount, but as a GS, you also get access to like the TSP. You also get access to different benefits, right? And you feel like you're part of a team. At least where I work, like the GS folks, they're part of a team. As a DOD contractor, I feel like I'm kind of on the outside looking in, which is fine because I try to get involved as much as possible. But yeah, that's the intent, is to work my way up technical wise, get my foot in the door as a GS. And it's a good way to start off. I know a lot of folks who have started off as DOD contractors and they are now high level GSs within the organization.
Yeah, DOD contracting is pretty good. It pays good. The only real drawback is that the contracts expire after 1 to 5 years. And it's
Yeah.
not really a drawback even. I mean, if they really want you, if you're really doing good work and the contract flips over, usually what they'll do is they'll try to hire on the people who were on the previous contract first, and then they'll
That's
start
right.
going outside to pull people in. But um, it's not really a drawback. I never had any bad experience with it. I mean, I worked on plenty of DOD contracts in my time, and never, it was always really, really good for me. The uncertainty of it was really kind of a myth in my eyes. It wasn't really that big of a deal.
No, it's not. I mean, contracts, they get renewed, you know, if the DOD likes that company, right? Which
Yeah.
in this case, it seems like they do. So it feels like the continuity will be there for my contract at least.
Yeah.
But yeah, I really miss that TSP, man. I'll tell you. I've been looking at a lot of index funds and mutual funds, things like that, and I'm like, man, I knew a lot about the TSP. I'd like to get back in that system.
Yeah.
It's a little rough what's happening now with like the whole the whole stock market kind of going down a little bit due to the job losses and all that, or the prospective jobs in the U.S. But I know about the TSP. I'd feel comfortable getting back into that world. So I'm trying to wiggle my way into the GS world.
Yep. I think you'll get in there sooner than you think, probably. It's just,
Hopefully, we'll see.
sounds like you got a good organization around you, and you've got a good contract that you're on, and it seems like everybody's kind of gelling together. So sounds like
Yeah.
shouldn't be that big of a deal.
Life is good, man. Life could be worse. It could be worse, man.
Could be
And I'm
much
glad
worse.
that it's not. Yeah, I'm glad that it's not. So retirement life is all right.
It's not bad. Yeah. You ready to? I think we're counting down, right? So it's August, September. What are we, about 60 days out? Something like that.
From our limit, right? From our mission, right? So
Yep.
if you're talking about the 1,000 mark, the 1,000 subscriber milestone, is that what we're getting at?
Yeah.
So everybody out there listening, if you didn't know, John and I have a goal. We want to hit this milestone, 1,000 subscribers on our YouTube channel, the Military Retirement Podcast, and then we'll make our way out to the Military Influencers Conference in Atlanta and do some interviewing and some meet and greets and some networking out there for the betterment of our veteran community. So Military Retirement Podcast, if you haven't done so already, go on the YouTube channel, hit subscribe, just help us out. We try to put out good content as much as we can. We do this in our free time, and just to help out the next person who's going to be retiring, who's going to be transitioning from military to civilian. And we really appreciate your support in any way, shape, or form.
Yeah, we're almost there, man. We're right at just at under 700. So
yeah, we're getting there, man.
300 more. Find 300 friends and send it out to them, and just tell them to give us a.
I don't have the time to make 300 email accounts.
No, please don't. No, please don't. Yeah. No, actually, like, well, whatever you want to do to support, we appreciate everything you do to support, whether you're watching the videos, if you're subscribing and you enjoy and subscribe, that's awesome. If you're just listening to us on Apple or Spotify or something like that, that's awesome. If you're part of the Military Retirement Group on Facebook, that's awesome, because we get to interact with you daily, basically. So that's really, 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 really awesome. But yeah, anything you're doing is really, really helping us either way. We'll get there. It's not, we're not stressing it. We put it out there because we just want to give you a little nudge and let you know and remind you, like, if you haven't already, because there's a lot of channels I watch that I forget to hit the subscribe button on if they're really, really good channels, or the like button or whatever. So
but it really does help a lot. We really want to hit that milestone, and we love doing this. We love putting out good information, good content, and we want to continue to do so. And we really want to go to Atlanta and actually do some interviews out there. So if you can help us out by hitting that subscribe button, it would we greatly appreciate it. Yeah.
And if any of you are in the Atlanta area around the end of September, and we do happen to get out there end of September, beginning of October, if you're in Atlanta, if you're in Augusta, if you're in South Carolina, close by, if you're in Alabama, like if you're in that area and you want to come meet up with us, just drop a where can we send people? We can start a thread maybe in the Facebook group,
Mm-hmm.
and maybe just start a thread, and like anybody who's in the local area there in that area who wants to meet up.
Yeah,
Maybe we can
absolutely.
set up a meetup, like an evening dinner or something like that, where we just meet up with
Yeah,
people who
yeah.
are part of the community and just sit down and break
I'm
bread.
down with that.
Yeah,
I'm down with that.
Freaking awesome. So if you're not part of the military retirement group on Facebook, jump in there, get in there. Be sure to drop your email address if you want a copy or one of the first copies of the book. It will eventually go out publicly in some way, shape, or form. We're still working that out, but right now it's just going to the email list. So if you're not on the email list, if you haven't given us your email when you signed up for the military retirement group on Facebook, be sure to drop us your email. We're not going to spam you. We're not going to send you a bunch of emails and a bunch of stupid stuff. That's not what we want to do, because we don't like that ourselves. So we don't want to send you stuff that we don't like. That'd just be dumb.
Right.
But if you want to make Victor happy, because I know he gets sad when you don't put your email address in there. So
Shed a tear. No, but
I don't know if you heard that or not.
I'm very thankful, man. We just hit 2,000 members. Actually, we're over 2,000 members on this. And as I mentioned, we vet the folks who are trying to access the group very, very carefully, just to make sure that we are putting in actual service members, retirees, veterans in there, and that there are no scammers or anything like that gaining access to it. So yeah, 2,000 members, and probably a quarter of them have already submitted their emails and have received the bottom line up front book that we put out. So yeah, if you haven't done so already, join the group, help us out, and we'll send you a link to the actual bottom line up front book, so you have the knowledge you need after you leave the service.
True story, true story. And if you also haven't checked out, we're just doing like plug ourselves day here. If you haven't checked out the Green Logbook on YouTube, that's where Victor does his personal journey, his personal thoughts on military retirement. And you can check that out there. He puts out a ton of really good informational videos, a lot of good insights, and a lot of just good ideas and thoughts and things that are on his mind. So
I'm dropping one today as well. Because it's been 8 months since I retired from the Corps, so I just kind of giving people updates. I did one on 5 months. It was well received. People really enjoyed it, and I thought maybe I'd put out one for the 8-month mark. So that's coming down range. Just be prepared. I'll be dropping that pretty soon.
Sounds good, man.
Yeah.
All right. Enough tooting our own horns. We'll stop wasting the internet and give you your afternoon back. We really appreciate you hanging out with us. We really appreciate you listening in, tuning in. And again, if you have any questions, you can find us on the internet. We're not too far away, usually 1 or 2 clicks away. So with that, everyone enjoy your Sunday. Have a good August, as August has finally started off now. And we will catch you again no later than Sunday of next week.
Heck yeah. We'll see you then.
All right.
All right. Out here.